Oh, good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. This is our first time to chat in the new year. I'm still riding a high from last year, but we started a new year. I'm really excited about this year, and I appreciate you all coming today to our town hall. I wanted to say a little bit about this picture, and the reason I put this picture up here is because you're not going to be able to see that much longer, because we are going to get our new academic building, and it's going to be, yeah, there we go, yeah. And this view is going to be completely messed up because it's going to be somewhere right here. It's going to be beautiful. Maybe we'll be looking through the building or something. This is at the top of the elevator kind of shaft on the parking garage. Yeah, so kind of enjoy that while you can, because that'll be gone pretty soon. Also, this picture, which I'm going to use next, is a new picture that we couldn't have before because this is from the new wing of the Tacoma Art Museum. Have you noticed how it juts out from the front of the building a little bit? So if you go all the way in there and look down, you can see our campus. And actually, you won't see this view much anymore because, you know, Carlton used to kind of dominate the skyline, the hillside there. And this is starting to match it in size, and it's going to go up to 22 stories. But anyway, if you go to the museum, you get a really nice view down the Prairie Line Trail. Is this Commerce Street? Does anybody know the name? What is the name of it? Hood Street. Hood? That's called Hood Street? Okay. Yeah. Anyway, it's a nice view. So this is what we're going to cover today. Just like all the town halls, I'm going to update you since last town hall, which was in December, so it hasn't been that much time, but it seems like it, a lot of fun stuff, including some personal stuff I'm going to share with you. We're going to talk about progress on some campus-wide initiatives, just a few I picked out today. Then we're going to talk about some recent dignitary visits. We've had a lot of visits to our campus just since January. The Queen of England's probably going to be here next week, who knows? But I'll tell you a little bit about those. Then a campaign update. I always like to talk about the campaign because it's always moving forward. And then we're going to have two guests come up, and I'll leave that as a secret for now, but they're experts on academic planning. So just, I know you're all in anticipation of trying to decide who those are. And then I'm going to talk just a little bit more about what we're planning to ask, what we have asked the legislature for, and I know you all know those things, but it doesn't hurt to keep telling you that, and I'll also tell you what we're doing about it, and maybe you can join us and help. And then just one slide on the winter enrollment. I think we have more good news, and then we'll open it up for questions and discussion. Okay, so you ready? Yes. You can do better now. You ready? Yeah, all right. All right, so since I've been here, you know, I get up in the morning, I always want to just immediately come to work. And I had the same problem with the holidays. You know, it would come to a holiday and I'd want to stay at work. But after 3 or 4 years, I'm getting to the point now where I do sleep in a little bit, and I really have enjoyed our holiday. I even like 3-day weekends now. I really like 3-day weekends. Do the rest of you like 3-day weekends? Or? Yeah, I do. So I really enjoyed my holidays this year, and I just wanted to give you a little quick overview of what I did, and later you can tell me what you did, so I want it to be both ways, but I was going to tell you about that. So first thing we did is before our first 3 years, we always started the holidays by going up to Seattle and doing something, you know. So for 3 or 4 years, we went to a play, we went to a comedy, we went to see all the lights. This year, we decided to do something different, so we went to Portland. Anybody been to Portland for the holidays before? A few of you, yeah. And it was actually kind of fun. We went to the silly play. It was by Second City, and that kind of tells you what kind of play it was. It was actually a lot of bad words, but it was really, really funny. But they did a spoof on the Christmas story, the Dickens Christmas story, and you know, our president was in the play. Lots of characters were in there, and all not in such a good light, but it was really fun. This was out front, so that's my wife, and that's me. That's Roman. Anyway, so we went to that. It was a lot of fun, spent some time in Portland. And then we found this place called the Grotto. Anybody been out to the Grotto by the Portland airport? You been out there before? Did you go to the lights? Okay, well, at Christmas time or over the holidays, they decorate it with lights. And you can't, this doesn't do justice, but the whole thing is so beautiful. And I took a picture of this because they were all purple lights. But you just walk around and just enjoy all the lights. There's families there. So it was a great start. Then we did, whoops. Let me go backwards. Then we did Christmas. You know, we celebrate Christmas in our family on the 18th because we had so much going on. We had to go ahead and do our Christmas on the 18th. This is my wife. She's getting her Husky sweatshirt. that I bought her. I always got to buy her stuff or she won't buy it for herself. And this, you might know Roman. Roman works in the event staff on campus, so you might see him setting up this room or something. That's my stepson. We have a UW Christmas tree. It looks pink in this photo, but it's actually kind of purple. It even wears a UW hat. We got a regular Christmas tree too. But anyway, we started. That was a lot of fun. And then we went to Indianapolis, where Kelly's family is from. Remember, she was there for 50 years. I shouldn't say that, but she was there for almost 50 years. But there's Kelly up there by me. This is Kelly's dad, so you see where I get my height from, or I don't get my height from. Anyway, this is Kelly's sister, Kelly's other sister, Kelly's little brother, and all our nieces and nephews. Even, Santa was there. So that party continued for 3 or 4 days, and while that party was going on, I drove over to Illinois to see my mother. This is my mother. She's getting close to 90 now. She'll be 90 next year. She's 89. She's 89, right? And she has dementia. She always thinks I'm dad for the first day or so I'm there, but she was happy. You can see how happy she is. She's really enjoying her new fuzzy pajamas we got her. So that's my mom. And then, luckily, while I was in Illinois, Kelly's mom made everybody put these pajamas on, and I wasn't there, but you can kind of see what they did. They made a mark. See, it says Mark here, and then they kept sending me these pictures of what I was doing the whole time. But I was kind of glad I wasn't there in the house with everybody with their pajamas on. But it was fun. It was actually fun. Then we came back to Tacoma. It's always so good when you go back to the Midwest now to come back to Tacoma. It's really a good feeling. But then we had Christmas with my 3 kids. And they're right here. This is my daughter. She's a graduate school in Bozeman. These are my 2 sons. You can see they're sporting their Seahawks hats that I got them. The one in the green hat is my middle son. That's the dad of my grandson. Right there, I've showed you pictures of him before, and this is his soon-to-be wife, Becca. They're getting married this coming summer. And this is my oldest son, Joe, who lives in Bothell. I don't know why he moved Bothell, but he moved to Bothell. And here is them having some of their dad's spinach manicotti. I make it at Christmas time and stuff, so that was really good. And that's not wine, that's grape juice we're drinking. Yeah. But anyway, it was a fun time. So after all that was done, then I had the privilege of joining the President's Party, as did Armin. I saw Armin right there. We had a really good time. We went to the bowl game. And Husky headquarters was at this place called LA Live Pavilion. It's like downtown LA. It's our hotel was the Marriott. There's several hotels around there. It's right across from the Staples Center. You've all heard of the Staples Center probably, where the Lakers play and stuff. And there was always stuff going out. There was ice skating. There were crowds all the time. It was just before New Year's Eve, so it was really fun. There was a party that night, like a pep rally with probably 600 or 700 UW fans from all over. I didn't know, but maybe 2 or 3 of them, all over the place, came to this. I guess it was a pep rally. That's the best thing I can call it. It wasn't a tailgate because it was 2 days before the game. And then there was a black tie dinner at a nice facility there close to our hotel. It was called the President's and Athletic Directors Dinner, and they both talked, as did some of the previous stars of the Rose Bowl. Some Huskies from way back when came and talked to us. It was really a nice evening, and we had the chance to talk to alumni from the area, well-to-do alumni, and I told them all about UW-Tacoma, and I'm sure Armin told them about Tacoma as well. A few people with connections to our school were there, but it was mostly people connected to the Seattle campus. The only bad thing about being right there in front of that LA Live place was it also occasionally got full of these red crazy fans. You see the Buckeye right there, and they're actually celebrating their coach. It was the last game ever of Ohio State's coach. What's his name? Urban? Is that Urban Meyer? Yeah, it was his last game ever. And we were trying to run it for him, but we didn't quite do that. So another thing we did that is becoming kind of tradition with UW is we went for a service activity with the opposing team. So this is President Calcé and Michael Drake, who's the president of Ohio State University. And they're talking to us about what it means to work at a public university and our service mission. It was really fun, and they passed out jobs for everybody to do, and we were there for 4 hours. And people actually worked pretty hard, but they ran out of jobs, so they sent the rest of us, and I was in the group that hadn't been assigned a job yet, to a painting class. So you can see what I painted here. I painted a UW rose. I actually think I did a good job, but we had we had an instructor, and at the Goodwill, they actually do painting classes for community members as a way to support the community and to encourage people to get talent. So that's what I did. But while we were there, the Husky mascot came. That's Harry, and this is actually our Board of Regents chair, Constance Rice. You might recognize her. These folks are just regular people. She was dancing and having fun and talking to Harry there. And this is our alumni chair. Thomas, what's his name? That's the guy that's the chair of the alumni board.
Oh, Joe.
Joe, that's Joe. Yeah, that's Joe right there. And then here, of course, is the Husky mascot. And here is the Tacoma and Bothell mascots. This is me and Wolf at the game. So one more thing here. We also got an opportunity to go to the Rose Bowl parade. Anybody ever been to the Rose Bowl parade? There's a couple people there. I'd watched it on TV, but it kind of bores me nowadays. But to go to it was really, really fun. You got to kind of see behind the scenes. But we went really, really early. For some reason, they picked us up we had to get up at 4:30, and they picked us up at 5 a.m. to take us to this. And it was freezing cold. We all had earmuffs and things on. They took us there, so we got there, and they said they were going to have breakfast. And breakfast was all the coffee you could drink and literally 10,000 Krispy Kreme donuts. And I ate 3 as soon as I got there. I did. I ate 3, so you can imagine eating 3 Krispy Kremes and drinking like 3 cups of coffee. Everybody was all energetic. So our presidents, kind of our dueling presidents here, Anamari and Armin, were leading the crowd in cheers and dancing and showing us all their moves. It was actually kind of fun. We spent like an hour doing that, trying to keep warm. And then the parade started, and the parade was pretty cool. Each act or float that comes by pauses in front of the grandstand, and you get to kind of watch their act, and then they move on. So we got to see all kinds of floats. Here's the UW came by. There's even Dubs right there, walked by. And kind of the highlight, but it was actually kind of sad, was like the third to the last float. These were 2 trains that were coming together, and there's an arm hammering in the golden spike, commemorating the Transcontinental Railroad, so I thought it was really Tacoma-esque. It was really cool. But as they went by, they shot off this explosion to make these streamers come out of the chimneys. You see all the streamers in there? And the explosion burst the brake line on the float, and the float lost its traction, started backing up and going into the next float behind it and the band, and it jackknifed in the middle of the road. And that kind of stopped the parade. Nobody knew what to do because they'd never stopped a Rose Bowl parade before. And it took about 20 minutes for this giant, giant tow truck to come and try to pull this thing, and it tried to pull it away, and the tow truck thing broke off because it was so heavy. So what happened is you couldn't go down that road, so the crowd just got tired of waiting, and everybody poured into the streets, and we were stuck in our bus for like 3 hours, so we were late getting to the tailgate. But we survived. We got to the tailgate in time to have hot dogs and beer and what have you. So then we went to the game. This is a shot of the game. It kind of looks all red, and that's because we're looking the other way. So the Ohio State Buckeyes filled up half the stadium. But if you look at this side of the stadium, it was half purple too. It was about an equal-sized crowd. It was great. One of the highlights was the B-2 flying over. The stealth bomber flew over. That was really cool. The only thing that wasn't fun was the score. But anyway, on the way home, Anamari got to the bus because we were all kind of dejected. And she said, well, the good news is, we didn't win the game, but Ohio State's going back to Columbus, Ohio, and we're going back to Washington. So I thought that was good. All right. Now, my job is really difficult. I have to go to bowl games. I have to go to basketball games, and the basketball season, has started, and I got the opportunity to go to the basketball game Saturday. And we did really well against Cal. We weren't doing so well the first half, but my job there, the hard work that I did, was hosting. This is Colonel Scoville Kern. I've talked to you about him before. He's the colonel. He's the highest-ranking Air Force person at the Joint Base Lewis-McChord. He's in charge of the 62nd Air Wing, the big C-17s or whatever. So this time I took him and his wife. This is Lisa. She's a cougar, but she was nice at the game. And this is Tessa, their daughter, who was really impressed that we have a female athletic director. She really liked that, and introduced her to Jen. And then this is Luke, who watched every single play of the entire game, just, focused on it. He really had a good time. So it was fun. At halftime, they had this really interesting halftime activity. They were called the Fly Dogs. I don't know, does anybody have their dog in the Fly Dog group? Nobody does. What they do is these owners had trained their dogs to run, jump over these things, get a hacky sack out of this green bucket down here, and run back and hand the hacky sack to them and try to beat the other dog. And they just do it one right after another. It was really kind of entertaining. And you can see the scores 29-28. We were only 1 point ahead at halftime, but we ended up winning. I learned later, and I kind of knew it beforehand, but I'd forgotten, but we had other people at the game. James was actually there as part of celebrating Martin Luther King Week. The CEI had several programs going on, and he hosted some of our BSU students, 2 of them right here, and 2 of our alumni, and they went to the game as well. And talking to James, they had a really good time. So that was a great activity. Speaking of Martin Luther King Day, that was Monday. I believe it was a very successful event. I saw Mintha come in a minute ago, so hands off to Mintha and Anna for putting on. They didn't put it on, but but they guided our students who put it on. They did a fantastic job. This is Amari and Malik, the president and vice president. They were the MCs, and they did such a professional job. It made me so proud the way they handled the entire thing. Also, after them, we had Derek Kilmer speak, so we've also had a couple congressmen to our campus since the beginning of the year. And then Denny Heck made a passionate speech afterwards. Those were short speeches. They weren't the main event. Then this young man, oh man, it was fantastic. This is Jalen, and he's a freshman in the Milgard School, and he plays the violin, and he agreed to play the violin in front of all of us and did a remarkable job. He was a little nervous at the beginning, I think, but he did a great job. Everybody enjoyed it. And then, they had this other completely different kind of music. This is what's it called? The Lute Nation? Yeah, the Lute Nation, which is PLU. And they're, stompers. And they took us through a stomping thing, and everybody was tapping their foot. That was a lot of fun, too. And then they have the Dream Awards. And the first Dream Award went to, this is Dr. Rosa Franklin, longtime senator in the state legislature, a community advocate. She is a nurse. I think she's a nurse. Longtime nurse, did a wonderful job. She did a little acceptance speech and just about made everybody cry. It was really good. And then when they give the organizational award went to our pantry this time. So I thought that was really nice because our students and our staff, Nedra, everybody worked so hard for our pantry, and they were recognized. That's Sequoia. I don't know the other 2 students' names. Probably some of you do. And that's 2 more of our BSU students. But it was a great event. And then we had the keynote, Dr. Boyce Watkins. He was funny. He was smart. He was all kinds of things. It really had us up and down. It was a really good program. So hats off to everybody. And then Mintha kind of closed it down at the end. Is she here? Where is Mintha? There she is, yes. I thought she was somewhere. Good job. She said, it's going to keep getting gooder and gooder. So we look forward to next year. This I thought I would tell you because I don't know if anybody knows about this. Does anybody know Isaac? You know Isaac? How do you know him? Are you? His advisor, okay. Well, he's a freshman, I believe, and he came by to see me in the fall, and he was all excited about going to school here, but he was also excited about this group that he joined in Kent. And it's called the Institute for Community Leadership, and it really is very well aligned with what we do at this campus. And he wanted to know if I would talk to this group for an hour about leadership and what that means to me and what it means to our campus and all that. And I said, of course. So he brought the whole group, and we met in a conference room over in Carlton, and it was so impressive. These students are really with it and really community engaged, really want to be leaders for the future. I was extremely impressed, but then he came back about a week after the event and said he was going to this class in Olympia, but he needed money, he needed support, so what could I do? So I had to support him, so I supported him. As a result, he sent me this picture. So I want you to keep your eye out for this young man. He is going to be governor, president, something. He's only a freshman, and he's so, I don't know what the word for, he's confident, for sure he's confident, yeah, and he's going to change the world. So I wanted to show you that. If you see him on campus, he's easy to pick out. Handsome young man right there. And these two, are these UW Tacoma students? I don't know if these are our students or just other, because when the group came, there was about 20 that came to Carleton that day, and 3 of them were our students, but the rest were like high school students. So these may be a couple of his high school friends. Okay, moving on. Another group that you're probably familiar with is our student veterans leaders. They are outstanding. This is the same conference that this year it was in Orlando. Last year it wasn't, but this is the conference where our own Roz won Student Veteran Advisor of the Year last year. I still tell everybody that she's right there. Really a cool thing. Well, our student group was in the running for Student Group of the Year this year, I think in the final 3. Unfortunately, they didn't get the award, but they had a great time in Orlando, and our veteran students continue to impress me. They're very committed to what they do and to helping their fellow veterans and military-connected people in our community. So this is a great group. I can't call them kids. Great group of young people in our campus that do good things for this community. Then I wanted to update you. I just did this in December, but a couple things have happened. I told you we were getting close to hiring the people. We hired our person. Is he here? Is Chase here? He's a Highline. Okay, he's the Highline Learning. Well, I'm probably going to butcher Chase's last name. I got the chance to meet him. Is it Nagliaka? Who knows his last name? Nobody's going to say it. Chase. Chase is our new person. So he is going to work for the UW Tacoma. Actually, he works for admissions. He reports to Megan, but he's going to work closely with educational outreach and the people from Highline to serve students, people, community that come into this new center in Federal Way. And another new development is they finally have the contract, the lease, done, and they're doing the tenant improvements, and they've contacted Patrick Powell, and Patrick Powell is ordering all the technology for the installation now. So it's going to be state-of-the-art IT stuff. So that's going well. One more thing I want to talk about is the partnership we have with TAM. And the reason this has been on my mind is it's a fantastic partnership, and the way it works right now is we pay $5,000 a year as an institution, and then you as a faculty member, as a staff member, can take students over there or send students over there as part of class projects for free, essentially, and they count how many times a UW ID is used, and the partnership was supposed to be $5,000 for 500 students. Well, lately we've had 1,000 students, and last year 1,100 students. So it's fair. They ask us to revise the partnership. So we're in the process of revising that partnership, trying to work out something that still works for everybody. We don't want to control it. We want people to go to the museum, but we can't just, write a blank check every year. The new art director, not the art director, the executive director is this gentleman right here, David Setford. He is fantastic. He wants more and more and more of you in his museum. Of course, it's better if we're paying customers, but he wants us in there regardless. So we've met with him a couple times, and we're continuing the meeting. Thomas has been helping us, Alina has been helping us, and we're going to come to some win-win situation for both of them so we can continue this, but maybe can control the numbers somewhat a little bit better. Anyway, the reason I was over there and took that earlier picture is because they've opened up the new Benaroyal wing. It's the Rebecca and Jack Benaroyal wing, and that's actually Rebecca Benaroyal right there and her grandson by our mayor. So they opened this about 2 weeks ago, and most of it, the entire wing is full of their collection. This just blows my mind that these folks collected all this stuff over their lives. This would cost us our budget of this university for a year, I'm sure. But anyway, they collected this and gave it all to the museum. It's mostly glass art, work from the Pilchuck School. Okay. And then another partnership that's been in the news, and I don't want to steal the show here because our students did this entirely by themselves, and you can kind of see some of the publicity they got. Channel 5 News, KOMO News, 13, U.S. News. And they were telling me they got emails from across the United States. But this is that new micro apartment right down next to the Y. I remember when they broke ground, I took Ty over there because it was his third week on the job here, and he helped break ground with one of the shovels. I have a picture of him standing there. So I had no idea when we were being nice and neighborly to them that we would be part of this partnership with the THA and our students. This is Aiden here talking to some of the leadership. But this is off and running. And it's in your office, and you're helping students find their way. Here's kind of the deal. Half of the building, half. This is amazing that this company has done this. Half of the building is for our low-income students, which are housing insecure. There are different stages. Half of those are at the lowest level, 30% of the average monthly income. You can, if you are in that category, you can get into one of these for $392. That is really nice rent for downtown Tacoma, right next to your school. So anyway, congratulations. Let's congratulate our students again. Yeah. Way to go. And we're also working internally to set up a way to help our students with the move-in expenses if they do need it, if they have a need for that. Okay, now let's go to the visits, all the dignitary visits. I'll kind of go through these quickly because you all were part of it. You all were here too. But it started on the 9th. Our provost came, Mark Richards. Really impressed by Mark. He visited with our administration first, our leadership team. He talked to our faculty. He talked to our students. He talked to our staff. And then we had a debrief with him at the end of the day. And then I brought him to my house at the end of the night, and we exposed him to the community leaders who love this place. And I've been kidding around saying they got him in a headlock and told him he would love this place too. But they didn't really do that. They just showered him with love. He understood clearly. He sent me the email the next day. He understood clearly that this community loves this university. And they'll do anything they can to help it thrive. So this was the Zeeks, Val and Dave. That's Cal and Joanne Bamford, who chair our campaign committee. They were there. Of course, I brought the mayor. Brian Marlowe, the executive from KeyBank, who chairs my advisory board, and then Herb Simon, a past regent. Jill was there to help me out, and then, of course, my wife was there to help out as well. It was great. It was a good night, wasn't it, Dr. Purdy? Yes. Then, that was Wednesday. Friday, Governor Inslee came, and he was here to kick off his push to fully fund the state need grant. And the day he was here, I knew all the details of that. I'll get them messed up if I say, but essentially 600 students who are eligible for the state need grant who want to come to UW Tacoma aren't able to get it because it's not fully funded. Something like 1,300 do get the state need grant, but until the last minute, the students don't know if they're funded or not. So it's really not a good situation. So it's good for us. So we helped him kick that off. We had lots of dignitaries here. That's Ivan, the new president of TCC. This is John Mosby, the new president of Highline. George, the president of Evergreen. This is Michelle, president of Pierce. Lynn, the president of Bates. Next to her and all these other folks. The president of UWT right here in the corner. It was a great, great day. The governor spent most of his time in financial aid, student enrollment services, talking to the students and the staff about how all this works and what it means to them. Throughout the day, he quoted from our students. Very positive energy for our campus, and he left with a positive vibe, I'm sure, of our campus. And then, you know, we had the boss, so to speak. Anamari was here on the 17th, essentially all day. She started out at Rotary, gave an inspiring speech about all the things going on at UW and about how the community and the state needs to support us in higher ed. I thought it was very well received. Then she came over and we went to the TNT and did an editorial board. Myself and her and a couple members of her staff and Mike Wark talked to the new publisher, Rebecca, and I can't remember Rebecca's last name, but we have a new publisher since Dave Zeke has retired. So that will be coming out soon. It was really well received, I think, as well. And then, of course, we went to the faculty lounge, the Swiss, at the end of the night for an alumni event. Were there 200 people there, 180?
We had 200 registered. We had a little over 100 attend.
A little over 100 there. It was a lot of fun, a lot of good food. This is Anamari embarrassing Armin also, congratulating him on being a great student body president. This is her doing her thing. I can't do it unless I use both hands, but our president is well practiced. But we had, like, all of the outstanding alumni since I've been here. This is Crystal, who was our outstanding alumni last year. This is Amy McBride, who was the outstanding alumni 2 years ago, and Joseph and Ben, I think, were co-outstanding alumni in 16. So they were all there in the room, and maybe a few others. Great night for UW Tacoma. So we're still racing ahead with our campaign. Anybody want to take a guess today before I flip forward? 50. We got 50 one time here. Going once, going twice. 51. Anybody else? There's a prize. 52. Well, the prize is going to have to go to Richard because it's 48,798,667. We're almost at 49. But that's a lot. We just raised the goal from 45 last September. So this is good news. Only $6 million to go with 18 months left in the campaign. So we're going to probably make it by summertime, to put Josh on notice there.
The campaign goes to 2020.
Okay, I told you we had two special guests here today. That's the Faculty Assembly Chair, the Executive Council Chair, Kai Yi, and Jill Purdy are going to talk about the academic plan. That advances.
The one over
Okay.
So, hi. So, my name is Kai Yi Young. I'm the chair of Faculty Assembly this year. So, Jill,
Jill Purdy, EVCAA.
yes. So, Jill and I today are here to give you an update on the academic planning process. So, this process started in autumn 2017 as a joint effort between faculty members at UW Tacoma and also administrative leaders. In particular, the steering committee consists of the chair and vice chair of Faculty Assembly, our EVCAA, and also the chair of the Council of Deans and Directors. So last year, we had Lauren Montgomery, myself, Jill, and Ellie Modaris. And this year, we have the two of us plus Marianne Harris. The goal of the academic plan is to guide the future development of academic programs in a manner that is faculty-driven and with evaluation that would be both comprehensive and also campus-wide. So the scope of the current planning process includes new degree proposals, but in the future academic planning, that will include all academic offerings, including majors, minors, fee-based programs, certificates, etc. And in 2017, we started out by asking faculty members to evaluate existing programs. And in March to April 2018, we solicited faculty feedback to develop criteria to evaluate new program proposals. And so these, we did the solicitation through both email and discussed at the Executive Council meetings as well. The unranked criteria are alignment with the campus-wide strategic plan, campus-wide balance of academic disciplines and programs, community student market demand and impact, and also resource impact. And in 2018, new program preliminary proposals were evaluated by APCC, the Academic Policy and Curriculum Committee. That was done in November last year, and APCC completed the review of 10 PNOIs and categorized these proposals into high, medium, and low impact using the 4 unranked assessment criteria. And the remaining proposals will be evaluated in March. So right now, we are working on an academic planning policy and process document. So we have been soliciting feedback from all of you and from faculty members. And so we are very grateful for all your feedback on this process. This is our first time doing it, and for APCC to take on this additional a lot of work, and also for Executive Council members for all your help.
I think we do need to recognize Menaka Abraham as the chair of APCC, as well as our APCC members for the substantial amount of work that they've been doing. So join me. Thank you, APCC. As Caillou said, we are building the plane while we fly it, which is a mode that's very familiar to all of us here at UW Tacoma. Just an update for you on where things are now. So in progress now, there are program changes that are moving forward that are not full new degree programs, but things like the names of degrees, those kinds of things have kept moving along, honors, options, and the usual curriculum changes that happen perhaps more frequently than you might suspect. The faculty do an amazing job of constantly updating, recognizing student needs, engaging in changes to language that represent kind of the new realities of what's happening as academic disciplines evolve. We also have seen a number of resource investments that were identified during the planning stage last year come online. There have been some upgrades to some classrooms, some computer labs, some software. So there are a number of things that were identified in the plan that were able to be acted on quickly, and some other things that are going to take a little bit more time because they're a little bit more expensive. The next steps moving forward, based on APCC's initial categorization of 10 programs in November, those categorized programs, new degree programs, can begin the approval process. And I'll talk a little bit about the planning process and how that connects to the approval process in just a minute. Because during this process of us constructing an academic plan ourselves and trying to figure out what academic planning meant to us and how we would do it, there were a number of changes in curriculum requirements at UW and through Faculty Senate, as well as at the state through something called ICAP, which has to do with, those of you who've been around Washington higher ed for a while might remember something we called the HEC Board, the Higher Education Coordinating Board. It went away a number of years ago. The public universities and colleges were tasked with self-policing. So ICAP is our own review commission for the entirety of the state of Washington. And both UW and the state are now requiring advance notice, even sort of at the level of idea, for new degree programs. And so even though we had a number of fully developed proposals for new degrees that were in our academic plan process and felt like they were absolutely ready to launch, all of them need to go back, at least technically, to being PNOIs, which is proposed notice, right, or planned notice of a new program of intent, and be reviewed in idea form at both the UW and at the state level. We anticipate that, assuming those reviews go well, those programs, especially the ones that have already been fully developed, will be able to move quickly into the approval process and move forward at that time. So we're working on moving those things forward now and have kind of devised how that's going to work. And EC has been working diligently for the past several meetings on what policies we should have for academic planning going forward. And so EC will be looking at that again at its next meeting and having a vote, so that we'll have our current process, which has been a little bit like watching sausage be made. It's been a little messy, lots of bits and pieces, things in different places, uncertainties, changes along the way. We're making it work. We appreciate all the collaboration that has occurred from faculty, staff, input from students, deans and directors, everybody across campus in helping us make sense of what it means to have an academic plan. I think we'll have a more coherent process going forward based on the policy that our Executive Council of Faculty Assembly is currently developing. So we do anticipate that future academic planning cycles will be a total of 5 years, but in order to keep things moving along, we're intending to overlap a 1-year planning effort, which is essentially, this time we did a 2-year planning effort last year. This year, we're going to consolidate that to a single year and then essentially have 4 years of carrying out that plan. And that, I think, will help us remain as nimble as is possible given the number of requirements and approvals that are required with any new curricula. It'll be quite a process. So this is a really busy slide. We debated whether we wanted to include this or not, but I think it's helpful to understand the relationship between academic planning and program approval. For those of you who haven't sat on a campus or university level curriculum committee, there is quite a lot of work and responsibility for things like admissions criteria, the curriculum and what is offered academically, and graduation requirements all fall in the domain of the faculty. They're decided by the faculty. So there are quite a lot of complex processes that are in place to assure good use of resources, academic quality, need, all of those kinds of things. So we have, for a long time, actually for quite a while, had this lower process in place. It's an approval process, and this outlines just the basic steps. If you want to see the full flow chart, it's online, but I warn you, it's overwhelming. And we have lots and lots of acronyms. We're almost as good as Boeing or the military on our acronyms. We're really generating a lot. But what we have added to this, and one of the reasons we really felt an academic plan was important, was that the history of UW-Tacoma has been create and grow and be entrepreneurial. And we are now reaching that point in our maturity where we're not in that same mode of always growing new things, adding new things. In fact, we've done a great job of building out a fairly broad range that includes many of the academic areas that you would expect to find at an institution as great as this one. And so what APCC was discovering was that new degree program proposals would come along, and there was no way of knowing if we approve this one, if it'll move forward, or whether this one might compete with that one, and it was sort of a first come, first served. The resources are getting thinner, but the new ideas just keep coming along. So how can we make sense of that if we never have an opportunity to kind of sit down and say, what's the whole scope of everything that we might add to our academics over the next 4 or 5 years? So our academic planning process provides a really valuable opportunity for all of the faculty in their schools to get together and identify what new possible degree programs they might be interested in over the next 4 or 5 years. For us to gather all those ideas in one place, have them reviewed according to criteria that Kayi described that were developed by and approved by the faculty, and be able to kind of look at those and say, you know, these feel like the highest priority for right now, for what we understand our students, our community needs. These are the ones that are great fit with our strategic plan. Actually, they're all pretty much great fit with our strategic plan. Here's where the resource needs balance out. You know, if we wanted to, we could probably double the size of this institution by adding a few particular areas that are hot right now, but that's not who we are. We're a university. We're balanced. We believe in arts. We believe in humanities, as well as sciences and professions and all those things. We need this campus to maintain balance. So the academic plan provides a wonderful opportunity for the faculty, which is charged with this responsibility at the level of the campus, to make some decisions about how to maintain that balance, how to manage our resources, and how to serve the needs of our students and our communities. So that's what the academic plan is accomplishing for us. It's not killing off programs. It's not saying, no, you don't generate more ideas. It is saying, here's some things that we think are particularly important. None of the programs that were categorized by APCC are being told, no, you can't go forward, or, yeah, you're good to go. They all will now enter an approval process, and the approval process is the same one that's been in place for quite a long time. There have been some changes to it because of the changes at the UW and the state level, but those same approval processes assure that we have fully developed programs that capitalize on opportunities for interdisciplinarity, that leverage our resources and our faculty expertise to the best of their ability, that serve the needs of students and the communities. And so I'm actually really excited about the hard work that's been done. I can't say enough to thank all the colleagues who've participated in this: Ali Modares, Lauren Montgomery, Kayi Youngri, Marion Harris. We've relied on assistance from Menaka Abraham, and Raj Kadi is our current chair of the Deans and Directors. So all of those folks have played a really valuable role in being on the steering committee or providing input and advice. The Executive Council of Faculty Assembly, all those faculty members who are elected to their positions, also play a really important role in moving this forward. So Thank you to everyone. Hopefully this addresses some of the questions we've been hearing about where academic planning is right now. Thanks.
Thank you. If you have questions, we'll take all the questions at the end. I have just a couple more slides quickly, so thank you for doing that. So I told you I'd tell you a little bit more about the legislative update. I don't want to spend a lot of time on what it is because we've talked about that, but essentially it's compensation, back pay from, they didn't fund us completely in the past. They gave it to us temporary. We want that back pay, and then we want them to fund us going forward at least half of what they allow us to give in compensation each year. So that's very important for all of the UW. Then on this campus, we want to establish ME and CE. Those are programs that we really need on this campus, and we can't do them by just taking the tuition money. We need them to be funded by the state, and we've done all of our homework behind that to see that these are necessary. So we're advocating for that. And then with respect to capital, we're advocating for two things. Our new academic innovation building that I told you about. We got the spot ready for it up there. And also we need our soil and groundwater remediation funds that we have to use each time we do a construction project on this campus. So these things haven't changed. They've been in the state for about 3 months now, and now it's our job to work with our legislative team and get them to vote to fund all this. So this is kind of what we've been up to. We started the year with a preview event. We used to always do this at Dawn Lucian's house at the beginning of the legislative session. She unfortunately passed away a year ago, so we do it in the Dawn Lucian room as a matter of respect for her. It was very well attended this year. We had probably 25 or 30 people there. I believe 8 of our legislators are their assistants, and there's about 24 in the county that, come close to our region. There's about 24, so we had a good group of them there, and then we had community leaders, administrators from this campus. It was a great kickoff event. There seemed to be a lot of energy in the room. Then at the public officials holiday reception that's just across the street in the art museum, we single out folks that we want to talk to there and remind them that the session's getting ready to start, and we do have asks, so we did that. And then we're having advisory board day. I believe it's next week is our first one. We're actually going to have 2 of those where we invite all of our advisory board members from my advisory board, from each of the schools' advisory boards and program advisory boards. And last year we had about 4 or 5 members go with us, and we hope to have even more this year. So we do that twice. I went to the Council of Presidents reception one evening earlier this week. I can't remember what evening it was. I think Monday evening. The evening it rained. That could be any evening, yeah. And anyway, there were a lot of the legislative leaders there. Our president was there, several members of her staff, and we just talked to them about how's it going, have any questions for us on our ask and those kinds of things. And then Mike Wark and I do these individual visits with each of the Pierce County delegation and those delegation members who are close to Pierce County. We've met with either 5 or 6 so far, so we have 18 to 20 to go. We'll do all those over the next couple weeks. We also go out to key chairs, the chair of the Capital Committee, the chair of Higher Education, the chair of Appropriations. If we can get in to see that person, those are difficult people to see because their schedules are pretty full. But we reach out and visit with them individually. 2 weeks from now, we're going to go to the biweekly Pierce County legislative meeting. They meet together as a contingent down in Olympia first thing in the morning every other week to talk about strategy for things in Pierce County. So they're all there, or at least most of them are there. Some of them may be on special committees and not be in the room, but we can catch all of them at once. So they've agreed to put us on the agenda, and we'll make this pitch really quick. They'll only give us 5 minutes, but you can look them right in the eye and say, can we count on you to get this through? So we talk strategy. We're going to attend a Fraterra event next week. Josh is going to go with us, Mike Wark. I think Raj is going to go with us on Monday to meet a couple of the key community leaders, not community, committee leaders. So we do a full court press. I don't want you to think I only go to bowl games and basketball games. We work really hard at getting our legislators to know about our campus. We've invited the new ones for personal tours. I have a couple of those coming up in the coming weeks. Usually first thing in the morning before they go down to Olympia, they'll come by and I'll show them the Tacoma Paper and Stationery Building or something new on campus. So we work really hard at this. And then I wanted to give you the enrollment numbers. I gave you these back in December. We had a really positive fall. We were up 3.7%. And you know, a lot of campuses across the country, when January comes, they drop 5, 6, 8%, you know, and that's okay for them. That doesn't happen here. This place, I never understood this, but this place does not have a significant drop. Look where we are. We're at 5,209 for winter quarter, the middle of January, and we have 5,209 students showed up here, which is 1.7% higher than last January. But the amazing thing is it's, 11.7% from just 3 years ago. We are really moving forward. And it's 97% of fall enrollment. I bet you could poll all the campuses across the country, and of the 3,000 campuses, I'm just making this up, but I think of the 3,000 campuses, only a very small handful would have enrollments this close to their fall enrollments in January. It's an amazing thing that we do here, and it's because of you all. Not because of us, and not only because of Megan and her team and Carl, who watches all this stuff, and Andrea, but it's from all of you. And now we're done. So I'll take any questions, or Jill or Kai, you will take questions if there's questions about the academic plan. We still have some time left. So are there any questions from anybody? Yes, Chris. He's going to bring you
Just an addition on Federal Way, they actually have hired the program staff there as well.
Thank
so
you.
they are in training at Highline currently.
So do they hire two?
Yeah, they hired two. They hired program manager is Chantel Carancho, I think is how you pronounce her last name, and then there's a program coordinator that's been hired as well. I was on those committees.
And I think the intent would be it will be primarily an 8 to 5 facility with staff there, but then there would be things in the night. You could schedule a meeting there. There could be a class. You could offer a seminar there in the evening. So we have 3 employees for full coverage during the week. So it's exciting. Do we have a date? No. Soon. Soon. Okay, soon. Other questions? Thanks for staying on top of that. You may have noticed we did have an opening day before yesterday. The Global Design Innovation Lab opened internally on campus. Really exciting initiatives moving forward. I'm going to put that on the agenda for the upcoming town hall, but I think I'll wait till after their public opening. So we're going to have a public opening in about a month or two. So that's exciting. Did I write down anything else? Oh, yes. I talked about the work of the pantry being recognized at the Martin Luther King Day. We also learned last night that we received a Kresge grant. Several of our staff applied for a $50,000 Kresge grant to help the pantry work to provide more cultural specific foods for our students. Since we have such a diverse student population, everybody doesn't like macaroni and cheese like I do. So we got to have more culturally appropriate foods, and we got this $50,000 grant to explore that. So, yeah, and I haven't had a chance to tell Dr. Purdy this yet, and you're not supposed to count your chickens before they hatch, but in this case, I'm going to start counting those 3 chickens. But you know, we submitted our programs to schools proposal to get social work and criminal justice and nursing and healthcare leadership and urban studies raised to the profile of a school at the University of Washington. And we got considerable feedback on our proposals. We accepted the feedback from the proposals, had the faculties of those 3 departments review that feedback, agree to them, signed by those directors, got letters from the social work dean in Seattle, got a letter from the nursing dean in Seattle, submitted that back to the provost office this morning, and the provost told me, that, not this morning, about 2 days ago, this morning the provost told Alina that he was going to submit that forward to the Board of Regents. So that's good news. Yes. Because we know the Board of Regents likes us. So they were here in the fall, remember, and they had a really good meeting with us, so I think we'll do fine there. And I'll be in the room, and I won't let them say no, and Armin will be there, he won't let them say no. So that's exciting. We don't know when that'll be, but I'd say maybe 2 reading meetings from now. So anything else for the good of the order? Any other questions? Well, thank you for all the work you're doing. Enjoy the rest of your January and the rest of your winter quarter. See you later.